why your next big project is doomed, and how to save it. Welcome to a journey that might just revolutionize the way you approach your next groundbreaking project. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's not just thought provoking, it's potentially game changing for every leader, innovator, and dreamer out there. I recently had the incredible privilege of sitting down with Amy Moore, a brilliant statistician whose insights are reshaping the landscape of data driven decision making. Amy's work isn't just about numbers, it's about transforming how we understand and leverage information to create meaningful change in the world. Her approach has helped countless organizations, from startups to Fortune 500 companies, avoid catastrophic failures and unlock unprecedented success. So, buckle up, because what you're about to hear might just be the most important advice you'll ever receive about launching your next big idea. Imagine for a moment that you're about to embark on an epic voyage across an uncharted ocean. You've got your ship, a dedicated crew, and a burning passion to reach a distant shore that promises untold riches and opportunities. There's just one small problem. You've decided to set sail without a navigator. Sounds absurd, doesn't it? Yet in the high stakes world of business and data driven projects, this is precisely the mistake that countless organizations make every single day. There's a pervasive myth in our field that's not just wrong, it's potentially disastrous. Many believe that a statistics professional is a luxury, someone you bring in when you're drowning in data and desperately need a lifeline. But here's the truth bomb that Amy Moore dropped on me. You need a statistics expert at the very beginning, at the proposal stage of your project, not halfway through, not when you're knee deep in numbers, right at the very start. Now, I can almost hear the skeptics among you. But wait, you're thinking, isn't that overkill? Surely we can figure out the basics on our own. Trust me, I've been there. I've witnessed projects crash and burn because of this exact mindset. And that's why Amy's perspective isn't just important, it's absolutely crucial for anyone who wants to succeed in our data driven world. Let's break this down. When you're planning a project, what's the first thing you do? You set goals, right? You outline what you want to achieve. But here's where things often go catastrophically wrong. Without a statistics expert on board from the get-go, you're essentially setting sail without knowing if your map is even accurate, let alone if it will lead you to your desired destination. Amy shared a fascinating and sobering case study with me that illustrates this point perfectly. A large corporation, let's call them tech giant, decided to launch a massive customer satisfaction survey. They spent months meticulously designing questions, building a state-of-the-art online platform, and even offering enticing incentives for participation. On the surface, it looked like they had covered all their bases. But there was one critical oversight. They didn't consult the statistician until after they collected all the data. And guess what happened? When they finally brought in a stats expert, they realized their sample was heavily biased. Their questions were unintentionally leading, and worst of all, the data they had so painstakingly collected couldn't actually answer the questions they were trying to solve. Millions of dollars, countless hours, and immeasurable opportunity cost all wasted, all because they didn't have a navigator from the start to guide their journey. But here's the thing, it's not just about avoiding disasters. Having a statistics professional on board from the beginning can unlock possibilities you never even knew existed. These experts aren't just number crunchers, they're strategic thinkers who can help shape your entire approach, opening doors you didn't even know were there. Take another example Amy shared. A small, ambitious startup was looking to enter a fiercely competitive market. They had a great product, but they weren't sure how to position it effectively. Instead of just guessing or relying on gut feelings, they made the brilliant decision to bring in a statistician right from the planning phase. This expert didn't just crunch numbers, they helped design a comprehensive market research strategy that not only validated the startup's initial ideas, but also uncovered a completely unexpected niche they could dominate. The result: they launched with laser-focused precision, quickly gaining market share and outmaneuvering competitors who had been in the game for years, all because they had the right expertise guiding them from day one, helping them see opportunities that were invisible to the naked eye. Now, I can almost hear some of you protesting, but we can't afford to hire a full-time statistician. Here's the hard truth. You can't afford not to. It's not about having someone on payroll 24/7. It's about bringing in the right expertise at the crucial moment when your project's foundation is being laid. Think of it like building a house. Would you start construction without consulting an architect or an engineer? Of course not. You'd end up with a structure that might look okay on the surface, but could come crashing down at any moment. The same principle applies to your data-driven projects. But it's not just about avoiding catastrophe. It's about unlocking potential you didn't even know existed. A good statistician doesn't just crunch numbers, they ask the right questions. They challenge your assumptions. They help you see patterns and possibilities that might otherwise remain hidden, forever out of reach. Amy told me about a healthcare initiative that wanted to improve patient outcomes. Initially, they were laser focused on treatment efficacy. But when they brought in a statistics expert at the planning stage, something remarkable happened. This expert helped them design a study that not only measured treatment outcomes, but also uncovered crucial lifestyle factors that were profoundly influencing patient health. The result? They ended up creating a holistic health program that dramatically improved patient outcomes, reduced hospital readmissions, and even lowered healthcare costs. All because they had someone who could see the bigger picture right from the start, someone who could connect dots that others didn't even know existed. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Data, we're drowning in it. Every business, every project, every decision seems to be data driven these days. But here's a hard truth that might shake you to your core. Data without proper analysis is just noise. And improper analysis, that's even worse. It's misleading noise that can send you careening in the wrong direction, potentially off a cliff. Amy shared a startling statistic with me that should make every leader and decision maker sit up and take notice. According to her research, over 60% of business decisions based on data analysis are fundamentally flawed due to improper statistical methods. Let that sink in for a moment. That's more than half of all data-driven decisions, potentially leading companies astray, wasting resources, and missing crucial opportunities. But it gets worse. In many cases, these flawed analyses aren't just useless, they're actively harmful. They create a false sense of security, leading executives and managers to make bold moves based on what they think is solid evidence. It's like building a bridge based on calculations done on the back of a napkin. It might look good at first, but it's not going to hold up under pressure. And when it collapses, the consequences can be catastrophic. This is where having a statistics professional from the start becomes not just important, but critical for the very survival and success of your projects and your organization. They're not just there to crunch numbers at the end. They're there to ensure that every step of your project, from conception to conclusion, is built on a solid statistical foundation. Let's consider another real-world example Amy shared that drives this point home. A major retailer decided to overhaul their inventory system based on what they thought was a sophisticated data analysis. They implemented the new system across all their stores, confident it would optimize their stock levels and boost profits. 6 months later, they were in full-blown crisis mode. Stock levels were chaotic. Popular items were constantly out of stock, and profits were plummeting. What went wrong? When they finally brought in a statistical expert to review their process, they discovered that their initial analysis had failed to account for seasonal variations and regional differences, a mistake that a trained statistician would have caught immediately if they had been involved from the beginning. The cost of this oversight? Millions in lost revenue, not to mention the severe damage to their brand reputation. All because they thought they could handle the data analysis without expert input from the start. It's a stark reminder that in our data-driven world, flying blind isn't just risky, it's potentially ruinous. But let's shift gears for a moment. It's not all doom and gloom. When done right, when you have the right expertise guiding your project from inception, the results can be nothing short of revolutionary. They can transform not just your project, but your entire organization and even the lives of those you serve. Amy told me about a small nonprofit that was struggling to make an impact in community health education. They had limited resources and were competing against much larger organizations with deeper pockets and more extensive reach. But they did one thing right. They brought in a statistics consultant right at the beginning of their campaign planning. This consultant didn't just look at numbers. They helped the nonprofit design a data collection and analysis strategy that was tailored to their specific needs and constraints. They identified key metrics that truly mattered, designed efficient ways to collect that data, and created a framework for ongoing analysis that could evolve with the organization's needs. The result, they were able to create highly targeted, incredibly effective health education programs that reached the right people with the right messages at the right time. Their impact per dollar spent was off the charts. They started winning grants over organizations 10 times their size because they could prove with rock solid data that their programs were making a real measurable difference in people's lives. This is the power of having the right expertise from the start. It's not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about unlocking potential you never knew you had. It's about maximizing your impact, whether you're a Fortune 500 company or a small nonprofit trying to change the world. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds great, but we're a small company. We can't afford to hire a full-time statistician. And that's a valid concern. But here's the thing. You don't need to hire a full-time expert. What you need is to change your mindset about when and how you involve statistical expertise in your projects. Think of it like legal advice. You wouldn't dream of launching a new product or entering a new market without consulting a lawyer, right? You bring them in at crucial moments to ensure you're on solid ground. The same principle applies here. Bring in a statistical consultant at the beginning of your project, even if it's just for a few key meetings. Let them help shape your approach, design your data collection methods, and set up a framework for analysis. The cost of this upfront consultation is a fraction of what you might spend fixing mistakes down the line. It's an investment that pays for itself many times over, and the benefits go far beyond just your current project. By involving statistical experts early, you're not just improving your immediate outcomes, you're building a culture of data literacy within your organization. Your team learns to ask better questions, to be more critical of data, to understand the limits and possibilities of statistical analysis. Over time, this creates a ripple effect that can transform your entire organization. You become more agile, more accurate in your predictions, more effective in your strategies. You start making decisions based on real insights rather than gut feelings or flawed assumptions. In today's fast-paced, data-driven world, this kind of organizational intelligence isn't just an advantage, it's a necessity for survival and success. Now, let's talk about the future because the stakes are only getting higher. We're standing on the brink of a new era in data science. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, these aren't just buzzwords. They're reshaping how we do business, how we solve problems, how we understand the world around us. They're opening up possibilities that were once the realm of science fiction. But here's the catch. All of these advanced technologies are built on a foundation of statistical principles. If you don't have a solid grasp of these fundamentals, if you don't have experts guiding your approach from the start, you're building a house of cards. You might have the most sophisticated AI system in the world, but if your underlying data is flawed, if your statistical models are unsound, it's all for naught. Worse, it could lead you drastically astray, amplifying errors and biases to catastrophic levels. This is why Amy's message is more important now than ever before. As we rush headlong into this new data-driven future, we need to ensure we're building on solid ground. And that means having statistical expertise, not as an afterthought, but as a cornerstone of our approach to every project, every initiative, every decision. So where do we go from here? How do we take this insight and turn it into action? How do we ensure that our projects, our organizations, our very futures aren't doomed before they begin? Amy suggests a few key steps, and I urge you to take them to heart. First, make it a rule. For any project that involves data, and let's face it, that's most projects these days, make statistical consultation a mandatory part of the initial planning phase. Even if it's just a brief review, get that expert input from the start. Make it as non-negotiable as having a budget or a timeline. Second, invest in education. You don't need everyone in your organization to be a statistical expert, but basic data literacy should be a core competency. Offer training, workshops, whatever it takes to elevate your team's understanding of statistical principles. This isn't just about skills, it's about changing the way your entire organization thinks about and uses data. Third, create partnerships. If you can't afford a full-time statistician, build relationships with consultants or academic institutions. Having a go-to expert or team that understands your business can be invaluable. These partnerships can grow and evolve with your needs, providing you with cutting edge expertise without the overhead of a full-time hire. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, change your mindset. Stop thinking of statistical analysis as something you do at the end of a project to validate your results. Start seeing it as an integral part of your entire process, from conception to completion. It's not a checkbox to tick, it's a lens through which you view every aspect of your project. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought that Amy shared, a thought that has profoundly changed the way I approach every project, every decision. She said, in the world of data, being approximately right is infinitely better than being precisely wrong. Think about that for a moment. How often do we chase precision, fancy charts, and complex models without stopping to ask if we're even asking the right questions? How often do we make decisions based on data that looks good on the surface, but is fundamentally flawed? How many projects, initiatives, and even entire businesses have failed, not because of a lack of effort or passion, but because they were built on a foundation of precisely wrong data? By bringing in statistical expertise from the start, we give ourselves the best chance of being approximately right. We set ourselves up not just to avoid catastrophic mistakes, but to uncover insights and opportunities we might never have seen otherwise. We give ourselves the tools to navigate the complex, data-rich world we live in with confidence and clarity. So as you leave this talk today, as you go back to your projects, your businesses, your lives, I want you to ask yourself one crucial question. Am I navigating with the right tools, or am I setting sail without a map, hoping to stumble upon my destination? Remember, in the vast ocean of data we're all trying to navigate, a good statistician isn't just a number cruncher. They're your navigator, your map maker, your North Star. Don't leave port without them. The projects you save, the opportunities you uncover, the impact you make, they all start with this decision. Will you continue to fly blind, or will you equip yourself with the expertise you need to truly see? The choice is yours. But remember, your next big project, and perhaps your entire future, hangs in the balance. Don't let it be doomed before it begins. Embrace the power of statistical expertise from the start, and watch as doors you never even knew existed open wide before you. Thank you.